Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for tuning in to this weekly BioSci franchise product training call. My name is Dr. Peter Verdegam, and I'm the Chief Science Officer of Unicity International. This night, I'll be discussing another great product of the Unicity product line, and we're going to talk about Immunizen. And as the product name says, Immunizen has all to do with our immune system. And of course, our immune system is a very important biological function because, as you all know, our immune system protects us from many diseases. A lot of diseases that are originating from foreign objects like viruses, pathogens, bacteria, toxins, you name it, are being attacked by our immune system. We are kept healthy because of our immune system because we're facing a lot of these foreign invasions every day. The immune system, the word immunity actually comes from a Latin word, which is immunis, and immunis means exempt. So exempt, free from a burden. And as I said, it's our body's own ability to defend ourselves against potentially harmful things that invade us. And we are facing many of those harmful things. I already named a few, but the complete list is pretty long. Bacteria. You can imagine that a lot of bacteria that are surrounding us can actually cause a lot of problematic diseases. But it can also be viruses, like the common cold, as we all know, is a virus infection. Parasites that invade our digestive system that can upset our complete digestive process are a form of pathogens for which our immune system protects ourselves. But we also can think of fungi, and fungi can also be pathogens and causing a lot of diseases. So our immune system is really very important in keeping us healthy every day. A very common infection, well, it's not very common, but it's very well known in immunology, is, for example, E. coli. E. coli is a foodborne bacteria that can cause a very serious disease. And I take this example because my own father got an E. coli infection a couple of years ago, probably by eating something which had gone bad, which had developed some kind of bacteria in it. So it was a kind of food poisoning. E. coli is very serious. He got into septic shock, couldn't, control his bodily functions anymore, and eventually it resulted in loss of a lot of functions in his body. For example, he wasn't able to walk for a couple of weeks because of loss of strength in his muscles, and he also got quite a bit of problems with his mental situation. So it's pretty serious, and this is very tough to really get rid of once you have a certain bacteria like E. coli in your body. It's just one example, but there are many, many forms of daily invasions. And it's not only if you live in the third world. A lot of people think, I'm not having to do a lot with those pathogens that surround me. We are living in a very hygienic world. Well, forget about that. There's a lot of pathogens everywhere around us, and every day we are facing a lot of attacks from outside. And that's why we have, in a healthy body, such a strong immune system. What are some of the characteristics of our immune system? Well, there are basically four things that describe our immune system. And those four things are, first, fast. It's very fast. It reacts to anything that comes in touch with our body. It reacts immediately to that. So it's a very fast reaction process in our body. It's also mobile. Mobile in the sense that it can work in different parts of our body. And if we, for example, have been in contact with a certain pathogen in one part of our body, let's say the lungs, and the next time we encounter the same pathogen in another part of our body, it is going to recognize that. So it's mobile. It's not located in one specific part of our body. It's also specific. Specific is the third characteristic. It knows exactly what it's dealing with. It has very specific ways of dealing with specific kinds of pathogens. The way it deals with an E. coli infection is completely different to the way it deals with a virus infection as the common cold. So that's the third characteristic. And the fourth characteristic is memory. It remembers. Once we have been in contact with a certain pathogen, your body is going to remember that forever. And that's, of course, the whole theory of vaccination. Vaccination is basically protecting ourselves against viral infections by injecting ourselves at some point in our life with a virus that has been destroyed but still is the virus. So our body recognizes that virus, starts developing an immune response to that, but since the virus was made harmless, we're not going to get infected, we're not going to get a disease, but our immune system is put on alert. Whenever we face the real active disease-causing pathogen or virus, our immune system is ready, it has remembered that, and it can effectively deal with that pathogenic infection. But of course, this is all in the ideal situation. This is the situation when our body is healthy, when we are in balance, when our immune system is very strong. Sometimes our immune system is down. Sometimes we are not so well protected. And there are a couple of reasons why this can happen. First of all, emotional stress. Stress is if we are under constant pressure or emotional stress, our immune system is going to go down. The same if we have inadequate sleep, if we're sleep deprived, or if we demand a big deal of our body, if we have athletic overtraining, for example, of being working very hard for a couple of days or weeks in a row, our body is simply out of balance, and this has a result that also our immune system is going to be somewhat down. We can have a reduced immune system if we're facing environmental or occupational or chemical exposure, if we have collected too much ultraviolet radiation, or, of course, if we are encountering a viral infection. If our immune system is occupied with one viral infection, it means it's going to be less reactive to another viral infection. So that can, of course, also result in a reduced immune system. Blood transfusions, surgery, so generally being in hospital is going to get your immune system down, and simply being old. Hey, our immune system is going to be reduced over time, so when we are aging, our immune system is generally a little bit less reactive and a little bit less effective to fight off diseases from pathogens. So there are many situations when we really can use a boost in our immune system. Now, there are basically two kinds of immune system, two big sections of the immune system. The first is the innate immune system. Innate immune system is described by simply the protective barriers, like our skin or the inside of our digestive tract. There's basically a barrier for pathogens to get into our body. That's why our skin, is tough and does not allow a lot of viruses or bacteria enter our body. So that's part of the innate system. Also, pathogen recognition, phagocytosis, which I'll explain a little bit later. We also have, that's the innate immune system. We have the adaptive immune system. That's the second big chunk of immune system. And that is mediated by the antibody response, like B cells or T cells or natural killer cells. I'll talk about that a little bit later. B cells and T cells, those are very important parts of our adaptive immune system. And these are produced by the bone marrow. That's one source of the B cells. The B cells actually produce antibodies, and antibodies are very important in the recognition of pathogens that we are facing every day. The T cells are produced by the thymus, and that's a very important organ in the whole immune system. We have the helper T cells, we have the killer T cells. Now, it's a little bit too detailed to get into the specific of those cells. But basically, all those cells are there to generate a trigger for our immune system to react to it. Once we have a pathogen entering our body, we have the T cells, the B cells, and natural killer cells, they all get activated. Typically what happens is that an antibody is being produced against a pathogen, and that means a certain component is being produced by the B cells in our body. That antigen is specific for a pathogen that is entering our body, couples to it, reacts with it, forms a complex, and that ignites a whole activation of immune cells, like the natural killer cells and also the white blood cells, which we call macrophages, that basically kill and remove these pathogens from our body. Macrophages, I already named them. These are large white blood cells. And what they basically do is very interesting to look at a movie. If you have the chance, go on the internet and Google macrophage, and perhaps you'll find a little movie. I have a couple of movies about of them. And you can actually see how these white blood cells eat foreign particles, really eat. They really absorb foreign particles inside the macrophage structure and removes them, destroys them, or removes them to another place in our body where they can be destroyed. And it's really a very nice movie to look at, because you can actually understand how white blood cells simply serve as little removals of pathogens in our body. This process is called phagocytosis. So I already mentioned a couple of important organs in our immune system, like the thymus, which produces the T cells, the bone marrow, which produces the B cells, lymph nodes, and the spleen. Those are the most important parts of our immune system, important organs when it comes to production of components that our immune system is needing. Let me discuss the individual ingredients of Immunizen one by one. Immunizen is a very easy to understand product. Why? Because it only has a few ingredients. But those few ingredients are present in the product in a very effective dosing. And that's what makes it great dietary supplement. You see a lot of dietary supplements on the market that have a long list of ingredients. The problem is there's a little bit of every ingredient present in the product. That is not what makes an effective product. What makes an effective product is a well thought out product targeting the main important mechanisms in a certain health concern. And that's what Immunizen is doing. 4 ingredients, 4 different mechanisms in dealing with improving our immune system. Those 4 ingredients are an intact colostrum, arabinogalactan, beta-glucan, and lactoferrin. Let me discuss those 4 ingredients one by one. Let's start with intact colostrum. What is colostrum? Well, some of you will recognize the word colostrum. Colostrum is in fact the first milk which a cow is giving once a calf has been born. And the same thing is true for humans. Once a baby is born in the mother's milk, that's what we call colostrum, the first period after giving birth, typically 24 hours till 96 hours after giving birth. We all know, once you've had a baby before, you know that the first mother's milk is very important for your baby's immune system. And that has all to do with the rich source that mother's milk is, that colostrum is, for immunoglobulins. Immunoglobulins are, simply said, antibodies. Antibodies that recognize the structure of a pathogen, bind to it, and ignite a complete reaction of immune responses by the natural killer cells, the B cells, the T cells, the phagocytes, the white blood cells. Everything is being activated once an immunoglobulin, an antibody, is binding to a pathogen. And that is why colostrum is so very important to the health of your baby, the immune health of your baby, but also the immune health of a calf. Now, we can take this when we're a baby, but when we take it later in life, it's going to be similarly effective. It's going to boost up our antibody levels in our body. And that is the first reaction our immune system needs. Now, we can get it from humans, but we can also get it from cows, because cows, in fact, are a lot richer. The milk, the colostrum of cows is a lot richer in those immunoglobulins than mother's milk is. If you look at 2 main immunoglobulins in colostrum, IgG and IgM, we have more than tenfold the concentration present in cow colostrum as compared to human colostrum. And that's why cow colostrum is a very good source of these antibodies. Now, you may have noticed that I said not just colostrum, but intact colostrum. And that is a key to the effectiveness. A lot of colostrum products out there on the market are being sterilized because, they want to preserve the colostrum in the best way they can, and that's why they do sterilization. However, sterilization of milk and of colostrum is going to destroy the valuable immunoglobulins simply because they're proteins, and protein structures, they're being denatured, as we call them, so being destroyed if you subject them to high temperatures, which you do when you sterilize cow milk or colostrum. Now, we use intact colostrum, and intact colostrum is a specific kind of colostrum that is produced with a patented production process. I can't go into too much detail, it's too complicated, but basically it uses a low heat condition so that high concentration of immunoglobulins is left in the product. It's a patented form. Nobody can have that. We are the only company that has this specific kind of colostrum called intact colostrum, and that is a key to the function of the immunoglobulins in the body. So that's the first part of the ingredient in the Immunizen, colostrum, very important part of the initial immune response by boosting up the antibodies. The second ingredient is arabinogalactans. Now, arabinogalactans is a natural occurring component, a natural occurring polysaccharide from the larch tree. And if you look up larch tree on the internet, on Google, you will find many data on its immune boosting properties. How does it work? Well, this polysaccharide is basically a fiber. The FDA has approved this as a source of dietary fiber even, although, of course, we don't eat a lot of larch tree, but it can serve as a dietary fiber because it is simply a fiber. But how does it boost the immune system? Well, basically through 2 separate mechanisms. One, if you eat the arabinogalactans in Immunizen, your body is going to ferment them. The digestive process is fermenting the arabinogalactans to short-chain fatty acids. One example is butyrate. Short-chain fatty acids are very beneficial to the intestinal flora. And the intestinal flora are incredibly important in determining the strength of our immune system. You may know that about 80% of our immune system is being controlled by the health of our digestive tract. So, and the digestive tract is full of healthy, friendly bacteria that do a lot of things to promote our immune system. You want to keep that environment in your digestive tract happy and healthy so that your bacteria are going to thrive. And one way of doing that is simply feeding them. And short-chain fatty acids is that food for the most important healthy bacteria in your digestive tract. That is one way by which the polysaccharide from the large tree, arabinogalactans, is going to promote your immune system. The second way is that in vitro studies have shown that arabinogalactans directly stimulate the natural killer cell activity. And that's important because the natural killer cells are the cells which basically attack the pathogens once they have been bound to an antibody and remove them from our body. So direct stimulation of natural killer cells is going to boost up your immune system. That's the second component. The third component is lactoferrin. Lactoferrin, the name sounds familiar. Lacto already means from milk. So again, we have a second component in Immunizen that has something to do with milk. It is in fact a protein which is commonly found in milk. The trick of this protein is that it is able to sequester iron, the metal iron. And sequestration of iron in the intestinal tract is important because if you have abundant iron present, free iron present in your digestive tract, you are going to promote microbial growth because iron is an essential component to enhance microbial growth in your digestive tract. If you can sequester that iron, take it away, remove it from the digestive tract as lactoferrin is doing, you are going to limit the conditions for optimal microbial growth. And that is going to, cut down the attacks your immune system will have to face. So the lactoferrin itself limits that free iron presence in the digestive tract. There are also some other effects. Again, in vitro studies have shown that it itself protects against parasitic infection. Also, human trials, so direct in vivo trials, have shown that the phagocytes, the white blood cells, are becoming more populous when you eat a lot of lactoferrin. So somehow there is a direct mechanism going on that boosts up the immune system directly by increasing the white blood cell count. Finally, we have beta-glucans. And beta-glucans, again, is a polysaccharide. It's kind of fiber. It's also present in life. So beta-glucan is a normal dietary fiber. But when it comes to your immune system, there are some specific effects that beta-glucans have. And I really like this mechanism because it's very smart. Let me tell you what it does. Beta-glucan is a fiber, so it's a long chain of saccharide molecules in a certain geometrical structure. But the fun thing about it is that it looks like that structure, if you have a three-dimensional layer of beta-glucan fibers, it looks like a component that is also present in the bacteria or pathogens. So it has a resemblance to structural components of the cell wall of pathogens. So what does our immune system? The immune system recognizes that structure and starts to become activated, starts to produce a lot white blood cells, antibodies, B cells, T cells to start interfering with the attack of that pathogen. But it's not a real pathogen. It's just beta-glucans. Only our body thinks it is a pathogen, so it starts to prepare. So what happens if at a later stage a real pathogen would come along? Our immune system is ready. Already the immune system has been upregulated, has had higher concentrations of all the important parts of the immune system, so it is ready once a real pathogen comes along. I think it's a very smart mechanism. It's just very smart. It's just using the structural characteristics of beta-glucans, which is simply a fiber, to fool in some way our immune system to think it has to deal with a pathogen, and thereby making it ready for when a real pathogen infection would come along. That's a very smart mechanism. So that completes our 4 different ingredients Immunizen. As I said, it's a simple product, 4 ingredients, each have their own very distinct function. Colostrum, enhancing the antibody concentration. Arabinogalactan, upregulating white blood cell count and natural killer cell activity. We have lactoferrin, limiting bacterial growth, microbial growth by sequestering the iron, but also, again, upregulating the white blood cell count. And finally, beta-glucan, fooling, if I can say that, our immune system so that it is ready when a real pathogen comes along. It's a very smart product. Who should take Immunizen? Well, basically, everybody can take Immunizen because our immune system needs to be ready. because we're facing a lot of pathogenic infections every day. So everybody who wants to boost up their immune system can take Immunizen. However, should you take it every day? Well, there are some theory that you better take it a few weeks in a row. So don't take the products continuously. And why? There is a potential for that your body gets lazy, that your body starts to get used to all the ingredients, and that the total effect on the immune system is going to be limited over time. So the best thing is to take Immunizen a couple of weeks in a row. Take it 2-3 weeks in a row, then wait for a couple of weeks and start taking it again. Or what you can also do, if you feel a certain infection or sickness coming up, if you feel, for example, you're getting a fever or you're getting a cough, that is the moment when you want to take Immunizen. And you can take it, double or triple the dose. You can safely do that because there's all very natural components that have absolutely no problem if you take a higher dose. And I know, for example, people that have a simplex herpes simplex infection, the little cold sores, for example. Once they feel them coming up, they start taking 3 times the daily dose of Immunizen, and it helps them tremendously. It helps them prepare our body to fight off this cold sore more effectively. So that is one example of taking a high dose of Immunizen once you feel that your body is being threatened by an outside infection. But you can also use it over time with little pauses of a couple of weeks in between in order to keep your immune system high all the time. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes this week's episode of the BioSlife Franchise Product Training Call. I hope you learned something. I'm sure you have. I hope you dial in next week again to the same number. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.